Welcome back to Chapter 2 of building Bar Mill's downtown garage. And right away, we run into a problem and a conundrum. The one problem would be Bar Mill's fault and also my fault at the same time. When putting this bracing on, I went by this diagram. It shows you where to leave gaps, 1/8 inch, 1/16 inch, 1/4 inch, etc. I did that exactly as is on the diagram. Ran the pieces to the edge, right where they have it going to the edge, and back in further from the edge where they have it going back in further from the edge. And this diagram is wrong. So the next step is actually to glue these two pieces together. This tab going into this slot here, and I can't because the bracing's in the way. So my fault part of it is I should have test fitted these parts before I actually went and glued the bracing in. But no, I just went from step to step on the instructions, and now I got a problem. So what I'm gonna have to do, measure this over. I'm gonna have to carefully cut out the bracing here and over there, and I'm sure on this side and this side, to allow for this to slip down in to that notch. So I'm gonna have to I'll start with a razor blade, I guess, and start slicing down into it. I just got to be very careful I don't cut into the task board and screw it all up. So let me do that, and then we'll get into the gluing part. There we go. I got the ends trimmed off and cleaned up. Now that will fit in there as intended, just like that. So I think I'm going to use Eileen's tacky glue to put these walls together in case I have to take them apart for some reason. It's not terribly hard to do. If I had used super glue, I would have had a big problem. But fortunately I used wood glue on this bracing, and it was easily scraped right off. Super glue would have caused an issue. Another issue is if this had, or potential issue, if this had been wood, I could have easily damaged or broken it trying to cut out that bracing. Fortunately, this task board is very forgiving, so we didn't damage anything. Let me get this glued on here and we'll be back. Well, the wall is level and straight. These 1, 2, 3 blocks are always a good help to keep things straight. Eileen's tacky glue does dry pretty quick, so after just holding it and letting it set for a minute or two, I can just let go and put the blocks on it, and everything should be nice and square. The next step will be to put, this will be actually the ceiling of the overhang, so that tab will slide in there, tab will slide there. We'll glue it all and get that solidified. I test fit the other wall over here, and that will fit fine once I cleaned up that mess. And then I was looking at the instructions where it says on the very last line on this page, if you've screwed up the interior bracing, tweak it as you go along. Okay, well, I'm tweaking, and I have a feeling I'll be doing some more tweaking once I get into these other pieces. So let's tweak and glue. I'm going to let this sit for a good hour before I put this other stuff on. Okay, be back. Now I got all the walls glued together and looking good. Everything is square. Well, I guess that's not square. What is that? Parallelogram? I don't know. But that's the way it is. Building sits like this. I figured out what this is for. This will eventually be for pillars for under here, for under the porch part. And according to these instructions, the very next thing to do is put these little deeper relief parts on here. So that will go on like that. They have a backing you can peel and stick, but like I said a little earlier, I'm not sure how sticky the glue is. I'll check it out once I pull it off. I want to make sure it's perfectly aligned on here before it's stuck fast, because once it's stuck on there, I'm never going to get it off. So like that piece would go there. What's this, number 10? That's 10. We'll go right in there, etc. So let me get that part underway, and we'll see what's next. And if you're wondering why I have to keep getting up and down, it's because my remote for my video decided to die on me, and I haven't changed the battery in it yet. Well, those parts went on easier than I thought. I did not even need to glue them on. That adhesive on the backs of those was very, very sticky. It was sticking all over my fingers, on the end of my knife. But we got them on, and we got them square, we got them lined up, got them right to the edges where they're supposed to be. See that three-dimensional look now starting to come into play. One thing that's going to be cool is I'm really, once I do go to paint it, if you can, I don't know if this shows up very well, but the task board is very nubbly and bumpy. And it almost looks like stucco all by itself. Well, it does look like stucco. So as long as I don't get my paint on too thick, that it, covers up those bumps, it's going to look like stucco. So I think once I do go to paint it, I'm going to use a spray paint or my airbrush, one of the two, and get just really light coats of paint on it, so you can still see the texture. And that'll show up. But anyhow, the next part is more three-dimensional things, again with the sticky back. So I will be putting these on here. I marked what part numbers they are on the back. So this is 11. We'll go, where will 11 go? Let's flip the page. There we go. Yeah, it looks like 11 will go right here on the back. So it'll fit right in there and give it some more dimension. And I think this is for signs. If you look at yeah, it is. If you look at the picture on the box, it's where all those things that say oils and greases and we clean, check spark plugs and that stuff. The signs will go onto these things the whole way around. So it'll be signage the whole way around. Very cool. So let me get that done. Let me stand up and turn this thing off again. Okay, those pieces are all stuck on there very nicely, matched up, squared the whole way around. pretty good. Not going to complain about that. So I'm going to take this thing outside and give it a shot with some spray paint. I'm just going to go with a flat white. I'm going to go with the same colors as the kit is. I just like it like that. You see the red and the white just looks really cool. Plus it also matches the signage there. So now for the red, which is the windows and so forth, I'm going to, I was testing out a couple colors here. I'm going to go with that one. It's not an exact match of the sign. This red here is more of an exact match, but I don't like the viscosity on it. And this is going to be easier to work with. And sorry about getting unfocused. You don't have to adjust your spectacles. That one I think will look really cool. It'll look like was a nice red and was kind of faded over time. And besides, with these signs, I will have to dull this down anyhow, because it's just way too bright and shiny. So I'm going to have to take some weathering powders and stuff and get those signs looking closer to that color. And it is rust red from Anita's. So that's it. Basically 2 colors on this whole kit. I guess there'll be some other colors, minor stuff here and there, but for the most part it's just going to be white. Red windows, red doors, red around the base of the pillars that hold the porch up. That's about it. This is actually going together pretty darn quickly. I didn't think it was going to go this quick, so I'm going to keep plugging away at it. Sure, once I get down into detailing it and so forth, the process will slow down. So, okay, on to the next one. See ya. Well, I'm back at the workbench again on this Sunday morning. Awful gloomy out there. 60 degrees though, I guess I'll take that. All right, this whole structure, I gave it a few passes, very lightly, of some white matte rattle can, I think it's Krylon spray paint. Or Rust-Oleum. No, it's Krylon. As you can see, the stucco pattern looks pretty cool, I think, on this task board. So it's no need for me to apply anything over it to make it more stucco-y. So after spray painting this thing, I gave it such light coats that paint really didn't settle down into the grooves, as you can see. And that, to me, is fine. And it's so light that actually some of the color of the task board actually shows through the paint a little bit. And it kind of almost adds its own type of aging to it. If I had coated it on really heavy, it may have covered up some of the pattern in the walls and just been too much. So, but that's fine that it's darkened in those little corners and crevices, because that's naturally where dirt would settle on a building like this out in the natural environment. Then I actually filmed myself painting these windows using that rust red color, but I had to delete it because the camera must have got bumped, and all it was doing was showing an empty cutting mat, and the work was being done off camera, which is kind of weird. But really all I took was a sponge, like so, ripped off a chunk, dabbed it in the paint, put it on the end of some tweezers, and then dabbed off most of the paint, so just leaving traces on the sponge and then just lightly dabbed it over top to give it that peeling paint looking effect we got going on right there. And I can see now that I've missed a spot because I took a small brush and then went in and got the sides of the mullions, and I missed that one right there, so it's rectified. And then the inside of the frames I did with a brush too, just very lightly dragging the paint through it. So next step will be to get the window glass in these windows. Alrighty, windows are in. Got to make sure that you're putting them in the right side up. If you're not careful, you can easily get one in upside down, as I found out. But luckily, I caught it before the glue started drying. You got to put the window ledge at the bottom, just like a window. Now we're going to do the windows and doors on this part under here, which is like they call the office building. You have all these little parts, and they go together somewhat like that. The white part underneath the part with the mullions, and then the frame that goes around it. I got a base color on them. I have to go in and paint these hinges and the door handle. Then put in the window frame for that big window and put the glass in it and put the glass in the doors and all that stuff. So I'm going to do all that. And while I was messing around, I got these parts out and cut them loose, ready to go for the signs, or some of the signs. These are the boards the signs go on. These are the frames that I'll go over top. And I'm going to worry about these three signs here. That one, and that one. So you have your board, put the sign on it, put the frame over top. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is dull down the sheen on these signs. They're pretty bright. I'm going to take this stuff right here. This is a light gray weathering powder from Bragdon Enterprises. I'm going to take a beat up brush and get a little bit on it and rub it over top of these signs. And what that will do is dull it down pretty good. The stuff has an adhesive built into the powder, so I don't need to worry about spraying an adhesive on it or sealing it with like a dull coat or anything. So I'm going to get busy doing that, and that will probably be the end of chapter 2. More fun stuff to come in chapter 3. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for putting up with my messy workbench. Thanks for subscribing. And please hit the like button if you like what's going on. It's very much appreciated. See you next round.